All right, we are live for episode number 15 of the Luke
Hey
and
yo,
Brett Show. How
what
you
is
doing, Luke?
happening?
It's happening. Look, we have a great subject for everyone who's going to be watching this. We are going to be talking about the top technology and tools that Luke and I both use in our business. We're in the year 2022 going into 2023. If you're not using technology, if you're still just, using a Rolodex or a recipe box, you haven't missed the boat, but you're missing the boat. So we're going to talk about the top things that we use on a daily basis that you might want to consider using them too. Sound about right, Luke?
Awesome. Absolutely. I tend to get a little bit geeked out on some technology stuff. I didn't really realize it, but it's just so ingrained in the day to day that when we brought this up, I was like, oh man, and I just started like writing things out, and I was like, well, making a list. And I was like, well, just look at my screen and see what's up right now. And just started going through it.
That's
I
a
was
good
like, okay,
point.
check. And it was so easy to make my list of tools I used because it was slapped out in my face. So I could actually just read through my tabs right now and
and
call
and
it a
see
show,
which ones
right?
are saved and which ones are on. So here's the great thing is that he and I typically don't collaborate a whole lot before we actually come on here because when we start talking, it's more of a mastermind, and we've come up with some really great ideas that have actually, by him and I doing this, we've come up with some things that we've implemented into our own business just through our collaboration. So we came up with a list. It's going to be a decently sized list that we both use. 95% of everything that he uses and is the same. So it worked out
Right.
well. Number one, Luke, what was number one on that list?
So by far the most like number one thing that I use and just build a lot of my business around is high level. It is, I mean, it just has, if you're not familiar with it, it is marketing and sales platform that, I mean, you can literally run your entire business on from A to Z. I mean, we're talking CRM, landing pages, calendars, invoices. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So that is by far the number one software. I like can't live without it. I help use it to, my own business, clients' businesses. So that is by far, hands down, no questions asked, number one
Yeah, I agree with you. So
software tool.
Luke and I were using different softwares before this. We were both at the same time on a software called ClickFunnels that some of you might be familiar with. And Luke actually turned me on to go high level, God, probably about 3 years ago. And he's been in it, what was it, a year and a half, 2 years longer than I was. You were in it from its
Probably.
inception. But where it is now at today, from a sales perspective, lead
Mhm.
generation, you got landing pages, you've got a communication portal, you got a dialer, you can receive inbound calls, you can send text
Right.
messages, you can send video like BombBomb. So it replaces a lot of these different technologies. Now, there's a learning curve to it. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
You throw in all the stuff that this thing does, there is a learning curve to it. In fact, we'll go ahead and make sure that we put affiliate links down below. But Luke has a coaching program that works on how to generate leads, and the technology he just kind of throws in with that. So, um,
Mhm.
but it arranges. I think you can get it directly from them for like $97. Does not come with any type of. You have to develop out your whole systems. You have to set it up. But I agree with you. That is probably bar none the one tool that my business cannot operate on. And it should be from a CRM standpoint. If you look at just a regular CRM, that just
Mhm.
contact relationship manager, that in of itself is a vital component. It's the
Right.
other stuff that you add on top of it. I mean, we could go and do any type of CRM. You could use Outlook for a CRM, but it's the automation, it's the lead generation, it's the lead follow up, it's the telephone calls, it's the text messages, it's the calendaring, it's all of that
It's
involved
everything.
all in one.
And I mean, I have never seen and this is just me going to geek out on it. I've never seen a technology or software company move as fast with as direct feedback from their end users as this company. It is mind blowing. Like somebody brings something up, the community votes on it, and they go build it. Like
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, you guys want this? Done." Right? I mean, some things that they just rolled out recently are some new-ish type things, like social posting, like to be
Yeah.
and pre-made templates ready to go. Like I literally had one virtual assistant pre-make a month's worth of social media post for December, push it out to several hundred clients in a blink of an eye. Now hundreds of clients that I have pre-made social media posts going out to like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google My Business at a push of a button. Pre-made, ready to go, boom.
And not to get too far off subject, going on to that is everybody always wants to have some sort of social media presence. They don't do it. They don't have time. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what to post. Whereas what this allows you to do is have one day, not even one day, like an hour on one day, schedule out your entire thing right into the software, and it will post for you on all these different platforms. Wow.
Right.
If you don't think that's amazing, then you're on the wrong video.
We could probably do a whole
video just on that,
which we might as well. I mean, could be a good.
I'll write that down. Okay, number 2. I'll go with number 2. This is what I wrote down. Grammarly. I use Grammarly. It's embedded into my Chrome browser. It's embedded into everything that I do now. It's a word processing system. It's like autocorrect it's like an advanced version of autocorrect.
Right.
And Luke, I shared this with you, is that I thought that I write well and I talk well. But when you're using Grammarly, it gives you a report once a week, and it actually tells me that I am the higher percentile for those that use it. So I do get a little bit of that reinforcement back.
You're like, yes.
But that is a tool. I think it costs me $100 and something each year, but it's a tool that I'll always have.
It's funny that you mentioned that, or when you mentioned that, because it is one of the, like, I use it every day too, but it didn't even come to it didn't even make it on my list because it just operates in the background. And I think that speaks volumes about the product itself. It's so user-friendly, you don't even realize you're using it.
That's true.
Right? That's truly amazing when you think about it. Like, it's ingrained so much into my day-to-day that it's not something that I even think about, that I use it as a tool. But when I'm writing, even Google Docs or wherever, in an email, and it just highlights it, and it's like, because I'm a horrible speller. I'll be the first one to say that. Like my spelling is horrible, but I just move fast. I don't really think about it. Maybe a little bit of dyslexia in there too. So it's so when you mentioned it, I was like, oh shoot, that is
that's on my list too.
I didn't even think about that, but yes, it's something I use every single day. And
but it's not just the spelling, right? It's the structure of the sentence. So you'll be typing something and it sounds great, but then it pops up and says, well, maybe it should sound like this. Right. Not to mention the commas, the periods, the different way of formatting things, and the voice that you want to share it in. It will share with you if you're being very direct, or if you're friendly, or if it sounds happy. It breaks that down, because I'm a very critical writer. I'm very, well, you know this about me personally. I'm very direct in person, and that comes out in my writing as well. And sometimes it has to be softened up, and that's something that Word or the autocorrect feature doesn't do. So good.
They're like, hey, pump your brakes there, Brett.
Yeah, a little too direct.
All right, we're trying to maintain our friendships and our relationships here. That's awesome.
Okay, what number 3? What do you think?
So I'm going. I'm just kind of like looking at my toolbar on my computer, and I have to go with Slack as
Ooh.
communication for connecting with all of my team members internally, sharing, communicating, just organizing stuff, automating actions within work. It's one of those things that can't really imagine doing day-to-day business without it. And I mean, some of the product developments that they've had recently, like voice messages, being able to record voice notes directly in there. I mean, it's just so user friendly. If you're not on there, I definitely highly recommend it.
And this is one of those things because I use Slack as well because I have, well, you have virtual assistants as well. So we
Mhm.
have people not just locally, but worldly in different time zones. And it
Right.
really is a great communication aspect. Now, I only use I use the free version. The free version is perfect for what I use. Are you
Right.
using a paid version?
Yeah, I have paid, and I'm not sure what the um
It's a user fee. It's like $10 per user.
yeah, it's very agreeable from a business standpoint for what you get from it. So I want to say it's like $9 per user
Something like
on a
that.
monthly basis, which for the amount that I use it. But there's definitely um I could probably get away with using the free version, but I think it's just I think I'm not sure what it was. There was some sort of automation or something
Well,
that
there's
kind of like
automation plus
tipped me over the edge.
on the free version, you're limited by the memory of the history of the messages that you get. So you don't have the ability to go back too far. Um,
Right.
and for the
Okay.
way that
Yeah, I
I
think that
use it, that's not something I really need. You,
not
you have a
necessary.
much larger virtual team than I probably will ever have,
Right.
to be honest. But I'm perfect with the few guys that I got. So and it's pretty simple that way. So Slack, definitely one that was not on my list. That to your point, you operate it, it works so well into your environment that I didn't even think about it. So um, okay, the next one that we have, so we're number 4, Zoom.
Zoom.
Zoom. Zoom. Pre-COVID, well, you and I have been using Zoom for a long time, well before
Yeah.
the COVID pandemic. But the COVID pandemic really just put them into the line. They were a small player prior to that. I mean, GoToMeeting was the big player back then. Who else? I think Skype
Hmm.
was a decent player. Now Zoom is a verb,
Right.
and I think everybody. I mean, you should have at least the free version, which allows you to have multiple meetings for at least I think 45 minutes. So at a bare minimum, you should have an account. I have a paid
Yeah.
version. Luke has a paid version just because we're doing a lot of selling and a lot of coaching and a lot of consulting on Zoom. But
Hmm.
that's definitely. I'm not a fan of Microsoft Teams. I think that's great for the enterprise version, but for I think delivery and training and coaching and for what real estate agents. I know real estate agents who have increased their business significantly because the culture has changed because of COVID, and they now do negotiations, listing appointments, buyer orientations, all on Zoom. You don't have to
Right.
drive anymore, and so they reallocate that time in the car, and they invest that into getting more business.
Yeah. That's I think it's just it has dramatically increased people, especially when people for folks who had more face-to-face stuff like that, like realtors. I mean, just really it allows people to increase their bandwidth and capacity um, tremendously. Some of the I was thinking about and this was a while ago in regards to Zoom, but it's the user interface is so intuitive and it is so dependable. when somebody brought that up to me, and I thought, and it really kind of clicked to me that like that's one of the reasons why why I think it rose and got to the level that it
I
was, is
agree.
just that dependability. When you had millions upon millions of people like going, just flooding into their infrastructure, like you really didn't see much disruption or downtime or any issues. Like it is so consistently dependable that it is. So that's why it's, up there at the top of the list of tools to use, and especially with everything that's happened, it just really sets the opens up a lot of opportunities there,
It
and
really
it's
does.
become more and more of just the way of doing business, right?
Yeah.
Do
I mean, it's in our
interviews.
culture now. I
I
mean,
mean, everything.
it is a number one, that whole theory that internet was a fad. I think that's been blown out of the water. Not putting that genie back in the bottle, but as far as, it blows my mind that there are times where I still have to walk people through on how to use Zoom like it's pre 2020. Blows
Right.
my mind. I think it's something that everybody should have. There's no reason not to have it. Everyone should have at least a free account. And as you start utilizing it more, upgrade. It's like,
Yeah.
and the upgrade's like $15 a month. So
Right.
it's not something that will break it. Um, Following into that, Loom,
Yeah.
screen
It's
recording
more
software.
another free version that you can get. I think I'm on the paid one, but um, I I can't tell you how much I actually use this. More and more and more, almost every day. But for those of you that are not familiar, Loom allows you to record your screen, record you, like split screen where you're talking, just your screen, even just you yourself. And you can have a link, you can shoot it anywhere. It's insanely dependable as well. And I personally use it a lot for communicating a little bit more in depth with team members, like remote team members. Like, for example, literally today, I just, screen recorded a sales funnel that I wanted one of my team members to build, walked them through step by step how I wanted it to look, what they needed to do, what my expectations were as far as like, completion. And boom, off to the races. It wasn't like a week long conversation about how to build, to do this thing. It was like, nope, recorded, there it is. You can reference this at any point in time to come back on. So
And the
again,
thing I'd like to add on to that, because this is another tool that Luke and I both use, and I did the same thing yesterday with putting together how I need something done, and I created a quick video on it. The one thing that I like about Loom is the one thing that it just focuses. It's not trying to be a multi-tool. It's not trying to be a Swiss Army knife. It records your
yeah,
video, and it is available in seconds on its own server. All you have to do is take that link and share it with something. You can do pretty much what it does on Zoom. The problem is the time it's going to take to actually do the Zoom, record the video, have it render, because this, like, we're going to be on here probably for another 15 minutes. It will take about just as long, about 30 minutes, to render this video. So it's not going to be available right away. Whereas Loom,
right.
you can embed it, you can send it, you can track it. There's a lot of different things. So I think you and I probably use that. I don't use that a whole lot consumer facing. I use that more on the back end to just share with people on how I need things done. Do you use it the same way?
Yes, I have been using it more consumer facing though too. And I call it like a lazy quick funnel. Like I want to put up something like really quick, like, hey, I want to run just something. Like I'll pull an iframe, plug it into a funnel, and
That's a great idea.
and be able to have it live within seconds.
That's a
Um,
fantastic idea. I didn't even think about that. Didn't even think about that.
and, and
Going
it's
back to our first one with Go High Level, that reminded me, because you can now embed videos into your landing pages, and you can adjust your automation based on how long somebody's watched your video.
Host
So
it right internally.
there's that one too.
Yeah.
I mean, that saves, I think it was $50 a month for Vimeo. I just eliminated Vimeo. I mean, a lot of companies just got hurt by people not doing that. Okay, so that was Loom. What's the next one you have on your list, Luke?
Let me see. Scrolling down. Well, I'll touch on this but it's kind of like a no-brainer. Is Google Suite. I mean, It is Google Docs, Sheets, Drive. I mean, email. I mean, it's probably don't need to go too much into that, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention it on the tools list here. I live on Google Docs. I've tried to get away from it in regards to certain things, using other softwares for documenting SOPs, but it's just so user friendly and versatile that I just, constantly go back to it, regardless of how much effort I try to move away from using it to something more like professional or organized or whatever. So, I
don't think I shared this with you, Luke. So everything I run on my personal side is powered by Google Suite as well. Email, calendar, docs, spreadsheets, etc. It's similar. I did just go and I moved all of my domains that were with GoDaddy. Everything is now 100% on Google domains. Now, here's my theory behind it, and this goes into the email, this goes into the docs, this goes into everything, is that I believe that because Google has it's anywhere between 93 and 98% of the world's search traffic, I believe that having those accounts on their system, even though it's not publicly known, I believe that that gives you some sort of edge. Whether it's true or not, I think it is, might not be, but that's okay. But
that's a logical conclusion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
But here's the thing with GoDaddy. Their domains, now it's not a lot of money. The domains to get them on Google Domain is like $12 a year. GoDaddy, you get it like $12 for the first year, then it's like 18, like 19, $20 every year beyond that. So from a long-term cost, I mean, we're not talking a lot of money, but the value that you get by hosting with Google surpasses. I mean, Google, it ties that whole account ties into Google My Business, or I should say Google Business Profiles. So not expensive. You can get a Google account. You can have your own domain hosted with Google. Like I have brettmatsura.com. Luke has his own. It costs, the lowest level on email is like $3 a month to have your own unique. So it's like Google. It's like Gmail without the ads.
I think you must be on some grandfather pricing there. I think email.
There's a lower version. It's $6 a month starting, but then you have a lower tier. I do have one of my accounts that's on the grandfather pricing, which is like $1 a month, because they just switched it. It used to be free, now it's $1 a month. But I think it's like a starter or something like that. I could be wrong. So people, you just need to do your own due diligence and.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of those things where you have to like click the.
You really have to search for it.
To that $6, you're like, no, I don't want.
Yeah, so, and you don't get as much memory. That's the big thing about the tiers, is that you don't get as much memory per tier. I don't use that much memory.
Right.
When I do, I'll upgrade.
For those folks that are following along right now, to have a professionally branded email hosted in Gmail, like that's a massively valuable. I mean, to me, it's a big separation between like professionalism. If you get an email from somebody and it's at so and so's name at Yahoo, or so and so's name at Hotmail or AOL or whatever, versus somebody with a branded email, I mean, to me, is, I mean, nothing against that. You absolutely can run and operate your business that way, but it's just for the cost and what you get. I think there's a huge value discrepancy there. It doesn't cost a lot, and I believe it just comes off significantly
Yeah,
more
I agree.
professional.
You never get a second chance to make a first impression. First impressions happen without you being there. Google came out and said 88% of consumers make a decision on what they're going to buy and who they're going to work with before they meet them. So you need to make sure that your digital persona is top notch. And upgrading, look, if you're going to do a free email, use a Gmail account. But
Right.
if you're going to be in business, use your own hosted. And I say get your name. You know me, I got brettmaxura.com. So if someone's going to search for me, they're probably going to search my name.
Right.
Okay, so that's so we talked about G Suite. It's still called G Suite, I think, or Google Suite, or Google Business
Google
Suite.
Spaces, Google, whatever it is.
Just Google hosted
Just Google
email.
Business.
You'll find it.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one that you wrote, that I wrote down, that I want to start using, but I just haven't gotten around to it until you reminded me. In fact, this was introduced to me from you again, is Descript.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Descript is an amazing one as well. And that's just to take your videos and to be able to edit them really quick and to transcribe them.
Yeah. I've been going down this video rabbit hole recently, and it is it's just a really really user friendly. So I think I may be wrong, but I believe that they started originally from taking a video to transcribe it into writing. So, but now they've evolved as a company to editing videos, and it's, to me, the way my brain works, it's so much more user friendly. I mean, you could literally edit a video just by highlighting words and deleting the words.
Like all the filler words.
Automatically deleting filler words, the ums, the ahs, it's a nice eye opener too, that will shine a light, and it's like, hey, you say this a lot. Like I say a lot. So it's like I'll highlight that.
That's
I'm
a
like,
lot.
man, that's a lot. So but yeah, it's really, another one of those things where it's like so user friendly, and so I'm enjoying it quite a bit, and I think that they have a really robust, like, onboarding user kind of training to help. Like, it's the way that they help people, and that's a big thing that I think for a lot of software companies where they lose a lot of people for adoption, is they don't educate the consumer on how to use it. Like, if there is that hurdle, I think they do a really, really good job of like educating their users on how to use their product. So
Yeah, I agree.
Tip of the hat to them on that note.
I agree. Well, with that, we came up with our top 7 technology/tools that we use every single day. I can honestly say that if you're in any type of business, you should probably look into using these as well for efficiency, for cost, etc. But we are at time for this video. Any parting words, Luke?
So some short runners up. I'd be sad if I didn't mention them. Zapier. Automate everything on the back end.
Yeah, especially if you're going to use a CRM like Go High Level, make sure you automate it and connect it to all these other programs.
Yeah, you can. So that, and then Canva is another one for
Canva. Use that yesterday.
Pictures and stuff, and it's definitely high in the list of tools of
You know, and I know how to
regularly.
use Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator and Adobe InDesign. And when I need something quick, I use Canva because
Mhm.
if I just need something very basic and quick, for what I can do in like literally less than 5 minutes on Canva is going to take me at least 5 minutes to get booted up and to get my settings, everything right. Um,
Right.
it's a time saver. So I agree with that too. So it's 9. There you have it. 9 tools to implement in your business that will help you grow and scale your business. I think you should use it. Okay. So
Yeah.
without further ado, I guess we'll catch you guys later.
Rock and roll.